Hello everyone, I'm Brior and welcome back to Goodgame Empire. Today's video is the first in my long-anticipated series of videos covering the topic of defense. In the very near future, I will be releasing some videos in which I actually set up my defenses against incoming PvP attacks. But today, we're going to take things a little bit more slowly and talk about all of the things that you can do to prepare to defend before you actually get attacked. It's essential that you spend time doing these things because 20 minutes is not enough time to get all of your Castellan gear, upgrade it at the Technicus, and collect the tools and troops you need. Instead, you should be perpetually preparing yourself to defend against incoming PvP attacks. Specifically, today's video is dedicated to sharing with you everything I know about Castellans. About 2 years ago, I made a video about Castellan equipment. It performed very well, and it's one of my favorites, but it's now rather outdated. Let me bring you up to speed on all of the latest Castellan sets, starting with the ones I already own. Here at my main castle, I've stationed the Castellan set I got from the Baremond invasion. This is a very versatile equipment set, and I spent all of the coins necessary to upgrade all of the pieces to +20, which is something you typically want to do with Castellans. The stats for this set are plus 90% ranged, plus 90% melee, plus 40% courtyard, plus 20% overall combat strength, plus 110% wall protection, plus 90% gate protection, plus 75% moat protection, plus 40% unit limit on the castle wall, plus 80% earlier attack warning, 40% fewer resources lost, and plus 25% extra glory points when defending. Now, obviously not all of these attributes are important. In fact, some of them don't even factor in to the actual combat, such as, for example, resources and glory. But let me tell you what's interesting about this set as a whole. When evaluating a Castellan set, the first thing you want to make sure is that it's a 90-90. This set is actually a 110-110 when you merge that 20% extra combat strength with the melee and ranged attributes respectively. That 40% courtyard combat strength is good but not exceptional until once again you consider that you're dealing with a 110-110. Now you've effectively got 60% courtyard combat strength, which is exceptional for a Castellan. Once again, when you take a look at the units on the wall, this Castellan has more units on the wall, very slightly, but still more, than the Kala Castellan, but again, this Castellan is a 110-110, so your troops are going to be very powerful on the wall, and it's almost always going to be possible for you to hold at least one flank, even against the most powerful 6-wave attacks. The last thing about this Castellan set, which makes it so great, is how easy it is to get. As I said before, it comes from the Baremond invasion event, and to get all of the pieces, you need to collect 22,500 reputation points for the blue side by attacking red camps. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I find that very easy, and I'm not always the guy who sends trains and trains and trains of attacks, so I go light on the events, and I can still get this Castellan. If the Baremond invasion isn't currently around, you might also work on collecting enough Con tablets to purchase the 9-piece Nomad Castellan that was recently added to the tablet shop. This Castellan isn't quite as good as the Baremond Castellan, but it still has a lot of courtyard, and it would be great for any target where you don't plan on holding the wall, for example, but you've got a lot of troops in the courtyard. So, for example, an outpost capture or a King's Tower, in other words, Royal Tower, or something like that. So once again, that is a fairly solid option. Now I wanted to talk about a Castellan which actually appeared in my last video, and that is my special Spring Kala combination. You'll more often see this with the 5-piece ice set as a base, but this combination works as well. Now, as was the case in my previous video, I've taken the 5-piece Lady of Light Druid's Spring Castellan set, and I've added 2 Kala gems to it. Those gems specifically I will name on the screen right now. And what that does is it gets the 2-piece Scala set bonus, which gives you a lot of extra gate protection. However, the reason that I'm bringing this up again is there's a new gem called a Snow Globe, and it was from the 9-piece Winter Castellan set, which ultimately wasn't great, but the Snow Globe gem is very good indeed. It will increase your wall space and increase your wall protection. So I've added that gem in place of a regular wall or courtyard gem. If you manage to obtain a second one of these, you could also put that on, and that would be a very powerful Castellan indeed. The only problem with this Castellan is that it is all of your eggs in one basket. You have to hold the wall, or else your courtyard will be abysmal. As it stands right now, it only has 5% courtyard combat strength. Now that could be improved by adding a look piece with a courtyard gem, of course, but you could do that to any Castellan, so I'm not going to say that it has that much of an advantage over some of the other sets I've shown you today. One of the other Castellan sets I wanted to talk about was the Woodland Nymph set, which was given out during the seasonal events throughout spring 2018. Now the opportunity to earn one of these sets is just about to close, so maybe that won't be very helpful for me to tell you about right now, but if you already have this set and it's simply sitting in your inventory, it's time you take it out. I'm thinking that maybe a lot of players will have just assumed that this Castellan set isn't very good because they got it from the seasonal event. And of course, most players won't want to spend all of the coins necessary to find out its maximum stats, if they don't know about the forums, that is. According to the forums, this set has 90% melee, 90% ranged, 100% wall, 100% gate, 75% moat, 70% attack warning, 40% resources, 25% wall space, 39% courtyard combat strength, and 20% overall combat strength when defending outposts. So as you can see, it's almost identical to the Barai Castellan, apart from the fact that it has fewer troops on the wall. I used to think that you only needed one powerful Castellan, but now that I've been in a few wars when I've been attacked at multiple locations at the same time, I recognize the importance of having every castle well defended. So again, if this Castellan set is sitting in your inventory, that's a massive waste. Now let's talk about the Eagle Demon set, which is the Castellan set that you will be buying if you are a Ruby Whale. Remember that my official position on the premium sets, which you can only buy with real money, is don't buy them, because eventually they will be replaced by sets that are earnable in the game. You're only buying a temporary PvP advantage over others. But of course the Eagle Demon is still very, very good, even if it's only marginally better than the Barramond Castellan at the moment. The stats for the Eagle Demon are 90% ranged, 90% melee, 120 wall, 105 gate, 75% moat, 50 glory, 30 loot, 90% early attack warning, 56% wall space, and 65% courtyard. So this cast does not have any just flat combat strength, so when you factor that into the Barramond Castellan, they're very similar indeed. Up on the screen now, I'm going to add the stats for many of the other Castellan equipment sets in the game. The reason that I'm not going to talk about these at length is either because they're old, or because they aren't currently earnable, and there's no reason you'd purchase them for rubies because they aren't as good as the currently earnable ones that I've already talked about. Let's start with the Kala set, which is just a good baseline for comparison. It was one of the first great sets that you could earn as a player in the game. You can also take a look at the Everwinter Trinket set and the regular, i.e. non-Kala gemmed, Spring 5-piece set and Ice 5-piece set. These sets are quite similar, but the Ice set does have more moat protection, which is why if you had the option, you should put your Kala gems on the Ice set. I'll put up on the screen now the stats for the 5-piece original Samurai Castellan, which was not bad, but again, is now outdated. And here are all of the old Ruby Castellan sets, which, as I talked about earlier, have now been thoroughly replaced by sets which are earnable within the game. If I'm going too fast for you, just pause the video, obviously. And finally, for the heck of it, here is the Storm Islands cast, which might be easily earnable for somebody who's a low-level player. If you're looking for these stats for some of the even older Castellans, I'll add a link to this forum post in the video description that might have the information that you need. Unfortunately, I think custom combinations of Castellan equipment are starting to become less and less of a thing as Goodgame Studios' predefined 9-piece equipment sets approach the maximum of what's possible for a Castellan. However, if you are looking to make some custom combinations, it's maybe a good idea to purchase the gems from the Ruby Castellans and add them to the 5-piece regular Castellans. Custom combinations of equipment are certainly still a thing, though, when it comes to fire Castellans. In fact, they're the only way to go, because Goodgame Studios still has not introduced a fire Castellan set in any of its events. For the uninitiated, a fire Castellan is a Castellan not designed to fight, but rather to minimize the damages you will take when you lose against an attack. To make one, look for legendary equipment with stats such as fire reduction, fewer resources lost, and earlier attack detection. I think that's a pretty comprehensive look at Castellan equipment. You'll be able to see some of these Castellans, especially the ones I own, in action in future videos where I'll be defending against real incoming PvP attacks. I quite often used my Spring Castellan with those Kala gems because a lot of the attacks that I filmed were before I got my Barai Castellan all finished being upgraded at the Technicus. If you're not already, be sure to get familiar with how many troops on the wall your Castellan offers you in the event of an attack, because of course you're going to be adjusting your wall setup and you want to make sure that you hold at least one flank. Again, we're going to talk more about this later on in the series. For now, I've been Brior, and I thank you for watching. Stay tuned to the channel, and I'll see you next time.